Welcome to MoTorque, the program where we bring you cars, bikes, adventure, classics, motorsport, and indeed whatever wheels that have torque. Here's a quick look at what we have in store for you this week. Isuzu let us drive their latest pickup offering, the D-Max. Sajeev gets behind the wheel of a true British sports car, the Triumph Spitfire. And we visit the Volkswagen Beetle Club's 14th annual Pride of Ownership Rally.
Isuzu is a name that is associated with tough utility vehicles and trucks. Over the years, Isuzu has also capitalized on this reputation by heavily focusing its R&D towards smaller vehicles, such as off-roaders and pickups. With that kind of heritage, we have high hopes for this latest offering from Isuzu. So what we have here is the new Isuzu D-Max, the latest entry into the local pickup truck market. It marks the first significant revision to Isuzu's pickup line in several years, and they claim that it is both more refined and comfortable, and more spacious for passengers, while retaining all of Isuzu's traditional tough truck appeal. Well, there's only one way to find out if that's true. One thing the D-Max has is presence, and lots of it. It's quite a big truck with a high stance, and it's rather American in proportions and detailing. Some might feel that it's a little bit overdone with that huge chrome grille and massively flared arches, but it's certainly imposing and won't be mistaken for anything else. Carrying space is obviously massive, and that huge bed also has plenty of tie-down points to help secure your load. Pretty much anything that you could possibly want to carry will fit in there with ease, which really is the true appeal of a pickup truck. The high stance means you have to do a bit of climbing to get into the driver's seat, but a wide and grippy side step helps the cause. Once you settle in behind the wheel, there is a tiny twinge of disappointment because the interior styling is not really very attractive. On the bright side though, the materials used are extremely durable and look like they've been really well put together. This whole interior gives off a sense of lasting until the end of time, which is exactly what you want in a tough pickup truck. The driving position is good, helped by a tilt-adjustable wheel and a height-adjustable seat, and once you settle in, it's comfortable and supportive. All the controls are within easy reach and easy to use, and the dials and displays are logical and well laid out. Comfort for rear passengers is traditionally a problem for pickups because of the way the cabin is laid out. The D-Max counters this with a lengthened wheelbase and a lot of space in the rear cabin. This is very beneficial for rear passengers, as there is now plenty of space for legs, and the seat cushion is designed in such a way that thigh support is considerably improved. If your last experience with an Isuzu double cab was the one that your uncle who was in the army or maybe who was a planter had back in the 1990s, then driving the D-Max will come as a complete revelation. It's much quieter and more refined than those old trucks, and gives you much less of a sense of being out on the farm. Pickup trucks as a class have moved on from the bad old days of the 80s and 90s, and nowadays you can realistically use one as a day-to-day runner. The new D-Max is perfectly capable in town and will adapt well to any day-to-day driving activity that you'll use it in. Whether you're going down to the shops or going in traffic to work, it's great. The auto box shifts well, the seats are comfy, and the ride is decently well insulated. It won't give you the same kind of ride comfort as a coil-sprung SUV because it still has leaf springs in the back. But compared to what pickup trucks were a while back, this is really good. You can conceivably use this as your only day-to-day vehicle. And as a bonus, the diesel engine under the hood gives up to 15 kilometers a litre. Yes, 15 kilometers a litre, even from an automatic gearbox. It's not a sluggish truck either. If you learn to use the gearbox, the power is there when you need it. The engine ensures that the D-Max will more than keep up with traffic in a straight line and have plenty of power in reserve if you're going out of town. But what about the handling? Say you're on a road that has some bends, will it be able to stay on it? Handling is not an area that is a traditional pickup strength, so I didn't have very high hopes. At the end of the day, this is a truck with a leaf spring out back, rated to carry loads, with four-wheel drive and high ground clearance. But if you keep those things in mind, it's alright. It's not my first choice for throwing around a corner, but if you're on a quick up-country drive, it will certainly get you there. Off-road ability is another factor that pickup buyers consider important. The on-paper figures say the D-Max should be more than fine. It has automatic locking four-wheel drive, a proper low-range gearbox, ground clearance of 235mm and good approach, departure and breakover angles. On our test, we couldn't do any hardcore mud plugging, but as you can see, on our test track, which is a rutted gravel track and an overgrown and slippery path alongside a river, the D-Max just cruised along as if it were on tarmac, supremely unconcerned and never losing traction once. So we can safely say that the D-Max has more than enough off-road capability to suit most buyers' needs. The pickup truck market of today is a very competitive place, with all the key players turning in a combination of utility and refinement that would have been unthinkable just 10 years ago. So the D-Max is entering a very tough playing field, but it responds admirably well. It turns in a superbly competent all-round performance. Couple that with Isuzu's legendary reputation for toughness and durability, and you have a vehicle that's very interesting indeed for the pickup truck buyer. So if you're looking for a really tough pickup truck, the D-Max should be on your list. British sports cars have an appeal that is difficult to entirely explain. They may not be the cutting edge of technology like, say, an Alfa Romeo of the same period, but there is something refreshingly honest about their low stance, rugged mechanicals and overall agility. And of course, there's the wind in the hair factor, which makes driving even the humblest of British sports cars a real treat. So today, in this appropriately gorgeous setting, we have for you a Spitfire. But not just any Spitfire, this is one of the last of the breed, a 1978 1500. It's widely considered to be the most usable model of all the Spitfires, and it is the most produced. So how does the last of the Spitfires perform on today's roads? Well, there's only one way to find out. But first, a bit of history. The Triumph Spitfire was born thanks to the great success of the Austin Healey Sprite. Launched in 1959, this cheery little car was based on Austin A35 and Morris Minor parts and provided the undiluted British sports car experience at a very accessible price. This opened up a whole new market segment. And that formula proved so successful that Triumph too decided they wanted in on the action. So they took the chassis from their Herald Saloon, modified it to make it a bit more sporty, and commissioned their favorite designer, Italian Giovanni Michelotti, to design a body for it. What he eventually came up with was a swoopy and rather Italian looking number that was very sporty, but still included refinements over the competition. Financial issues delayed the launch for a couple of years, so it was finally 1962 when the Mark I Spitfire saw the light of day. This little car was powered by the 1.1 litre engine from the Herald, slightly hotted up with twin carbs and different tuning, and had just enough performance to give the sprite something to seriously think about. The Mark II, which arrived in 1965, was extremely similar externally, but had a higher tuned engine for a slight increase in performance. The interior was also improved from the extremely stark Mark I by fitting molded carpets and rubber cloth trim, as well as redesigned seats. 2 years later, the Spitfire received its biggest update yet. The 1967 Mark III looked significantly different because its bumper was raised to meet crash test regulations, while a proper folding hood replaced the earlier build-it-for-yourself arrangement. Another point for the Spitfire over the Healey Sprite and its twin MG Midget. The Mark III ran until 1970, and its replacement was an even bigger change stylistically, with a totally new cut-off rear end that was inspired by the new Stag and 2000 saloon. The biggest change, however, was underneath, with the rear suspension being completely redesigned to eliminate the twitchiness and dreaded oversteer that the earlier cars had displayed at the limit. While that was successful, unfortunately the engine was the same as the Mark III, and it had trouble coping with the increased weight. As a result, performance dropped a bit. Triumph addressed this problem in 1975 by increasing engine capacity to 1.5 litres for the last model, the 1500. And it was in this form that the Spitfire continued right through to its end in 1980. Our featured car, as mentioned, is an example of this final generation. Now, the Spitfire may have been Triumph's entry-level sports car, but driving it is no easy task, especially at low speeds. The steering is heavy, clutch, throttle and brakes are really stiff and need a firm shove. And it's a very physical car to drive, no matter how quickly you're going. That said though, it's much less of a bear than the bigger TRs or something like an Austin Healey. It's more willing to work with you and less punishing, especially on our roads. Four-wheel independent suspension gives a ride that's relatively comfortable compared to more hairy-chested and hardcore Brits. The 1500 engine has plenty of torque, and combined with the car's lightweight, makes for pretty brisk progress. Though the Spitfire is not a very fast car, the lightweight means it will more than keep up with traffic. And if you put your foot down, it has enough power to entertain. Although the Spitfire is not a really fast car, it's very lightweight, under a ton, means that this engine just has enough power to make it fun. There's plenty of torque and throttle response is really good. And as a bonus, it makes a really nice sound. The sensation of speed is of course made even more so by the wind rushing past. And no matter how fast or slow you're going, this is a very fun car. Like all sports cars though, the real fun part is in the handling. It's so immediate. It darts like a terrier the moment you turn the steering wheel. It's like a very enthusiastic little dog. Spitfires have a reputation for being tail happy, but at sensible speeds you have nothing to worry about. Instead, it's just a lot of fun. And the best part is, it can be tremendously entertaining at perfectly safe and legal speeds. This lovely example is owned by Dr. Sonali Fernando, daughter of well-known classic car enthusiast and collector Mr. Damascene Fernando, and has been in their family for over a decade. Originally imported from the UK in the early 90s, the previous owner was said to be meticulous in its upkeep. As a result, the car apparently did not require a full-scale restoration, which is rare indeed. As with all the Fernando's cars, the Spitfire is in great shape today and sees regular use at weekends and on classic car club events. and is certainly enjoyed to the full by both Mr. Damascene and Dr. Sonali. It may be an entry-level sports car, but don't think that it is in any way handicapped by this fact. It actually provides a superbly balanced drive all around and definitely delivers the full-on sports car experience. Which of course makes it excellent evidence to back up the old saying, it isn't how much power you've got that matters, but how you use it.
The Volkswagen Beetle Owners Club recently concluded their 14th annual Pride of Ownership Rally, starting from Goalface and ending up at the Ayr Castle. The event also celebrated the Diamond Jubilee of Volkswagen in Sri Lanka. Having been present since 1953. In addition to the swarm of Beetles present, there were also other models in the lineup, including Golfs, Jettas, and even camper vans, to name a few. After a hearty breakfast at the Hilton, the VWs proceeded towards the Ayr Castle. The castle, much like the Beetle, is a bit of a legend itself. J.F. Ali Elford, a British planter, was told by his wife that only if he were to build her a castle would she sail across to Ceylon to join him. Perhaps he took these words a little too seriously, as he went about creating just that, a replica of a Scottish castle. Sadly for him though, his employers got to know of his pursuit, and unsurprisingly they considered the undertaking a waste of both time and money. was yet another successful VW and Beetle gathering. And of course, all the participants thoroughly enjoyed themselves, and can't wait for the next one.
When you analyze the problems of engine underperformance or pulling power, or perhaps people say engine is not performing to its maximum, there are so many contributing factors. Leaving all those contributing factors aside, today we are going to focus the problems or symptoms related to EFI fuel system cleaning or problems related to EFI fuel system only. What is the fuel system? Fuel system includes so many components, starting from fuel tank, fuel pump, fuel lines, injectors, so many things. But systems or the components related to fuel is very limited. So this system cleaning is very important when it comes to engine performance. System cleaning is not only injectors, it's not only throttle body. The whole system, including the combustion chamber, so cylinder top, piston crown, everything has to be cleaned to do a proper fuel system cleaning. For that, you have to select the right product. What is the right product? What I recommend is Worth product for system cleaning. Worth is number one globally for this system cleaning, EFI system cleaning. This is the Worth product for injection system cleaning, LBW 400. This cleans the injectors plus the total fuel injection system inside the engine. This is another important product which we use for this throttle body cleaning. This is called the Worth throttle plate cleaner or the carburetor and injector cleaner. Once the throttle body is properly cleaned, this is the second step or the final step of EFI tuning. This product runs the engine. Now the engine is cut off from fuel, that's basic gasoline. Engine is run with this product and it cleans the entire combustion chamber, injectors or the internal parts of injectors, the maximum performance of your engine.